Standing by for entry interface. Orion now at an altitude of 470,000 feet, 900 miles from its splashdown target. Guidance officer confirms that Orion has reached entry interface. The moment of truth for Orion for the next 9 minutes 45 seconds. And as expected, we have reached a loss of telemetry as we enter this brief blackout period. At the time of the blackout, the flight dynamics officer reported that all of Orion's systems looked perfect. Point in time where Orion would be experiencing its peak heating of some 4,000 degrees Fahrenheit as it barrels through the Earth's atmosphere. About 20,000 miles an hour, some 84% of the velocity of a spacecraft returning from the moon.
Welcome Bitcoin friends, it's Bitcoin Mamo. Today we're going to look at the Ethereum chart and compare its cycles to Bitcoin cycles, how it's one cycle behind when looking at the price peaks. We'll also look at where Ethereum's headed for the rest of the year. And we'll also take a look at an interesting video I saw with Willy Woo on Tone Vei's channel. They had some interesting on-chain analytics that show that the rest of this bull cycle is yet to come. So if that sounds interesting, stay tuned and let's get into the charts. So I just want to start here looking at Ethereum compared to Bitcoin and looking at its cycles. So I've got Ethereum here on the right, Bitcoin on the left. This is the whole history of Bitcoin here and also Ethereum. And Ethereum did start in 2015. The first pricing data here for Bitcoin was around 2010. So Bitcoin did have that head start on Ethereum. And it seems like Ethereum is one cycle behind when looking at the peaks. So just to explain these lines I've got on the chart here. I've just got two peaks marked off here for Ethereum with these green lines. And also the peaks here marked off for Bitcoin. These blue lines here is the lowest price Ethereum went to, which was around 41 cents. I've got the same level marked off on the Bitcoin chart. And the first peak here for Ethereum was around $21. And we had a pullback down to $5.60. And then the third peak here for Ethereum, which was around $14.50, early 2018. And then this last peak that we just had for Ethereum before the pullback, which was around 4,640. And again, these exact same price levels are marked on this Bitcoin chart. This Bitcoin chart, I've just ended it here at the peak in 2017 at that 20,000 peak. And as I said, I think Ethereum's one cycle behind when looking at price levels compared to Bitcoin. So the first thing I want to look at here is Ethereum's first peak here. Ethereum peaked out, as I said, around $21 mark here back in 2016. And Bitcoin's first peak here was around $32. Then we had a big pullback and a decent pullback on Ethereum, as I said, from $21 down to around $5. And then we continued the bull run higher. And this second peak here for Ethereum was $1,454. This was in January 2018. And looking on the second peak for Bitcoin here at the end of 2013, this peak here was $1,240. So quite similar, a little bit of a difference here. Bitcoin did go about 50% higher here, $32 versus $21. But in this second peak, Ethereum actually went higher, $1,450 compared to $1,200. So around 20% higher than Bitcoin's second peak. So looking at the current run for Ethereum here, I'm thinking it's doing a similar thing to Bitcoin cycle from the peak in 2013 to the 2017 peak. And that would mean that Ethereum may get around the $20,000 level. And if it were to go 20% higher like this peak, then that would put Ethereum around 24,000. And if we were to go 50% lower like this first peak, then that would put Ethereum around $10,000. But we do have to note here, this peak here that I marked with Ethereum, this run here was from 2015 to the end of 2017, early 2018, and this whole run here was one cycle for Bitcoin. So whether we classify this as a peak or not, or whether we just take it from this low to the peak up here, but these price levels were still quite similar. And just looking at the number of days to go from this low here for Ethereum, which was around 40 cents, to this overall peak at 1460, 1450. We add these two together here, it's around 808 days. And looking at Bitcoin to go from this 40-cent level to a similar peak, which was around $1,200, it took Bitcoin 1,049 days. So Ethereum made this price move a lot quicker than Bitcoin here, in around 20% less time. So it will be interesting to see if Ethereum can get to that 20,000 level in a shorter time than Bitcoin did. Now Ethereum did peak out here at 4,640 and marking that same level on Bitcoin. We can see we did have a decent pullback on Bitcoin at that level, and we did come down to around $3,000 here, whereas Ethereum has come down to around 1,700. So a bigger pullback for Ethereum, and we know Ethereum has bigger pullbacks in bear markets compared to Bitcoin, but does have higher percentage gains. And we can see the pullback for Bitcoin in the bear market got down to around $170, and for Ethereum we came all the way down to $75. So the time taken to get from this third blue line here to the fourth blue line where Ethereum did peak out for Bitcoin was 1,359 days, and Ethereum has taken 1,222 days. So I just thought it was interesting that we had quite similar peaks here, and it may help us project the next peak for Ethereum. So if we were to overlay this previous Bitcoin cycle, 2013 to the end of 2017, and apply it over the current cycle for Ethereum, then we would get something that looks like this, and this would take us somewhere near this $20,000 mark. And what we can see with the Bitcoin cycle here, we have a double bottom here, and we also did have a similar double bottom here for Ethereum, but it was more spaced apart time-wise. But of course we did have the stock market crash here for Ethereum, And during that 2015 bear market here, this was just a pullback. This wasn't a stock market crash. But it is just interesting to compare them and what we might expect for Ethereum going into the end of the year. So another thing I want to look at, I did talk about this chart in other videos. This is the Bitcoin chart here, and we're saying how this cycle is similar to the 2013 bull run here, where we did run up quite quickly. It had a mid-cycle pullback. That was quite a big pullback, 75% I believe, and then we did recover and continue the rest of the bull run. And I do think we're doing something similar here. We had that 55% pullback approximately. But what I had drawn here on the RSI is I just marked the peak on the RSI during this mid-cycle peak and connect it to the current peak here before we had this pullback from around 60k. And this is just a parallel channel. These lines are parallel. And if we connect it to the bottom here, at the bottom of this mid-cycle pullback and go across, we see that it lines up pretty much where we got this bounce after this current pullback, which I believe is mid-cycle also. So quite similar to 2013, and I am expecting to come back up to complete the bull run. And why this is interesting is this was on the 2-week chart. I also did this for Ethereum. So if we look at Ethereum here, we can see we had this big run up here. This was the 2017 bull run. And then we did have a big pullback here. It doesn't look like much on the logarithmic chart, but this was actually a 70% pullback. And then we did go sideways, took a while to recover, form this sort of ascending triangle, and then we carried on the rest of the bull run here. So I do think Ethereum might be doing something similar here. We did have quite a big run up here, going from 400 all the way up to 4,000, 10xing, and a little bit more. And we did have a 64% pullback, so quite a similar pullback. And we've just been going sideways and recovering in this range. And if I were to apply this last run here from 2017 onto the current price action, it might look like this. And this would take us near this $20,000 area. Now I also made a similar thing on the RSI here. This is also the 2-week chart, and I just connected the top here from the mid-cycle top and also connected it to the highest point on the RSI here. Doesn't actually line up with the highest point on the chart, but this is the highest point on the RSI, and this is a parallel channel again. We pull it down to the lowest point here where we had this big pullback, and we recovered when on the rest of the bull run. And with these parallel lines, if we go across, we find it does go exactly to where we got this bounce for Ethereum so far. So we could do something similar here, carry on the rest of the bull run. And I have this other line here, which is also parallel, and just connecting the peak on the RSI here and the peak of the overall bull run. So perhaps we could finish off this bull run coming to where this circle is, and it might be a good time to get out when we get close to this line. So I thought it was just interesting that it's quite similar to what I did on the Bitcoin 2-week chart, and they also both line up together. So now I just want to play a bit of a video that I saw recently, just a couple of days ago, on Tone Vays' YouTube channel, and he was talking with Willy Woo. Willy Woo does a lot of on-chain analytics, and I just thought this was really informative, and I hadn't seen these charts before, so I thought if you hadn't seen it I would share it. So I'll just play it, and I might stop it here and there just to explain a couple of things, but it's only a short clip, so here we go.
And this is a heat map of the buying habits of shrimps. So essentially the guys that hold less than 1 Bitcoin, and we can tell that it's not addresses.
It looks like they've been stacking.
Yeah, they always stack. Shrimps stack sats and they don't let go, right? Then they're little geniuses, right? They buy and they buy and buy until bear market hits, and then they wait to the bottom, and then they buy and buy and buy. And you can see they're buying the COVID dip. They bought this dip. They're buying hard under the resistance before it squeezes up.
You know,
So,
they never stopped buying. This is so different than everything else. If any chance you have this data for 20.
So as he said, the shrimps are entities that hold less than one Bitcoin. I think they're always buying because a lot of these people are probably dollar cost averaging, just every week put in a set amount and just holding for the long term. So I think that does explain it a little bit there. Let's keep going.
2013, because I still think we're in a 2013 style bull market.
Yeah, sure. Except 2013, remember, less than one Bitcoin was squat all.
A lot of money.
Like
You're right.
$10, right? It was $10, right? So if we're going to look at the equivalent of shrimps in 2013, we've got to turn off shrimps.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean a lot of money. I mean less than one Bitcoin back then was little money.
Turn on crabs.
So he mentioned crabs there. Obviously, shrimps have less than one Bitcoin. Crabs own between 1 and 10 Bitcoin.
And on crabs, or yeah, that you can kind of see there, but like maybe we need to go to octopus and fishies.
Yeah.
The octopuses, they have 10 to 50 Bitcoin, and fish have 50 to 100 Bitcoin.
You're gonna have to go all the way into dolphins probably.
And dolphins are 100 to 500 Bitcoin.
Yeah, they're growing up, and then
there you go.
There's a right.
Dude,
so,
this is a really cool chart. Is this on? This is on Woonomic charts. Is this public?
No, it's highly expensive data that you're
I was about to say this is really good.
You're going to have to pay $800 a month to Glassnode to get access to this. There's a massive amount of data science underneath this to cluster this into individual entities and surveil their history, right? So like actually most of the data you see elsewhere is just completely obsoleted now. Like those metrics are so past due date. And actually you'll see that from the bad analysis on crypto Twitter using old metrics like address spaces, because it does not show the changing habits of users, you know, whereas this stuff remains relevant.
Can you turn on Dolphin Shark? Dolphin underscore Shark.
Sharks, they have 500 to 1,000 Bitcoin.
Dolphin Shark.
Yeah.
There you go. See, dolphin and sharks, I want to debunk this whole idea that whales and the big guys are smart, because they're absolutely not. Like, these are the dolphin sharks buying the top, and these are them selling the bottom, right? And let's go to whales.
And whales, they have 1,000 to 5,000 Bitcoin.
I really like that Dolphin Shark. Yeah. Go on.
See, they're just schizophrenic. Generally, they sell because they're rich as they divest, and then they try to time the market. Sometimes they're right. They bought
at the worst time back in 2014. Jeez.
So yeah, the whole profile of whales is there's a conspiracy that whales control the market, and that's completely wrong. And I'll get to that later. And this is like this is very recent research that I've been doing the last month, and it's like, oh my God, everyone's view on the market is just conspiracist and it's unsupported by data. So right now we've got an interesting setup here. First off, let's just look at this from a macro perspective. This is what it looks like for a bull market. This is what our bull market looks like. It's getting stronger. The buying's getting stronger, and there's no bear market in sight. It's just only getting bigger. And the little geniuses like buying that dip, buying all of this dip while traders were shorting the market and selling their coins. And let's superimpose the other side, whales. Right? What's interesting is nobody is selling right now. There's no sell pressure coming from these on-chain wallets. So the only people that can be selling are traders on exchanges who have their coins there, which this doesn't capture. All the coins are moving off the exchanges, which we can see on the exchange flows. Yeah, this is the same view, but like
Oh,
now it's the entire spectrum. This is everybody from shrimps to whales, right? See this zone in here? There's only green bubbles for 9 days straight. Only green bubbles. Selling has been outlawed by every single holder from below 1 Bitcoin to above 1,000. Every single holder has outlawed selling. They're only buying, and buying in large quantities. You can go back on the history of Bitcoin. Never have we seen a period this long of significant buying by all cohorts. Usually there's one of those guys selling on one of those days, not seeing it, right? It's a very crazy, special time right now. Everyone is buying. This is like an OMG signal.
So just thought that was quite interesting. It reinforced the idea that this bull market isn't over. And it's good to look at that on-chain analytics, and Willy Woo is one of the best when looking at that. So thanks for watching. I hope that was enjoyable. Bit of a different video, looking at Ethereum for the first time on this channel. And we'll come back with some more videos. We'll do some more Bitcoin analysis, and Bitcoin is dropping at the moment. And I'll try to make a video when I think we're about to turn around and start going back up. So thanks for watching. I'm Bitcoin Mamo. See you next time. Bye.